In California, can you lose your nursing license after getting arrested? This is a very important question that we're going to tackle in this video. So if you're a nurse who has recently been arrested, then you're going to want to pay attention to this video. We have represented a number of nurses over the years, and I can definitely tell you that nurses are so passionate about their jobs. I love it. Nurses play such a vital role in keeping us well. But life happens, and sometimes our nursing heroes find themselves in a bad situation where they get arrested and are facing criminal charges. The possibility of getting convicted and going to jail is scary for anyone. But for nurses, you also face getting fired from your job and losing your license. The California Board of Registered Nursing says you are required to report any conviction. So if you plead guilty to any felony or misdemeanor, or you're found guilty at trial, you have to report it. So I want to tell you about a client we had a couple years back. We'll call her Tracy. And that's not her real name, but protecting client confidences is really important to us, okay? So anyhow, Tracy had been working really long hours just during the height of COVID. Things were beyond stressful on the job. Unfortunately, Tracy saw patients die. The hospital just had way too many patients than the staff could handle. After yet another grueling 12-hour shift, Tracy came home ready to go to sleep. She came home to a drunken boyfriend named Bill, who basically picked the wrong night to argue. The argument turned to screaming, and then Bill ended up getting physical with her. He pushed her and slapped her in the face. So Tracy, scrambling for anything that she could, grabbed a tray that was sitting on the kitchen counter. She grabbed it and smacked Bill in the eye with it, and it left him a gash. He was bleeding pretty badly. Moments later, police ended up knocking at the door, and Tracy and Bill were basically thrown off by this because neither of them had called 911. If you didn't already know, neighbors are just notorious for overhearing yelling or commotion and calling 911. Bill knew he was in the wrong here. I mean, he was the one that started the argument. He was the one who escalated the mere words to physical violence by pushing and slapping Tracy. But Tracy really only had a little redness on her cheek from the slap. And so the police, when they're conducting a domestic violence investigation, they're looking for two things: the initial aggressor and the dominant aggressor. The initial aggressor is the one who made the first physical contact, whether that's a push, a punch, or a slap. And the dominant aggressor is the one who basically inflicts the most damage. So the one who got the best of the two, right? Based on what the cops can see. And so here, clearly Bill was the initial aggressor, but Tracy was the perceived dominant aggressor. Bill had a gash under his eye, and that gash was bleeding, whereas Tracy only had the slightly red cheek. So unfortunately, the cops ended up putting the cuffs on Tracy, and she went to jail that night. Tracy was booked on felony domestic violence charges. This was the absolute worst night of Tracy's life. Bill immediately felt guilty for what he had done. I mean, this situation was all his fault. And the very next day, he tried to call the police and tell them that, Tracy should not have to face criminal charges. If anything, it should be him. And unfortunately, the detective was rude and dismissive and basically was like, hey, it's out of my hands. There's nothing I can do for you. So Tracy was frustrated. She was nervous. She was scared. She really loved Bill, but she hated him for the position that he put her in. Tracy absolutely did not want to go back to jail, but she was even more freaked out about the possibility of losing her license. So she did what any smart person would do in this situation, busted out Google. She found our information and decided to reach out. We scheduled an initial strategy session, and she told us what ended up happening on the evening in question. She had told us that she had been a nurse for over 20 years. It was all she knew. It was her passion. She was proud of the lives she had saved, and, comforting patients in dark times was something that she was really good at. And, she would just be absolutely destroyed if she couldn't be a nurse anymore. She made the important decision of hiring our firm, and we got to work immediately. We did the research on the nursing licensing situation because we knew that was the most important thing to her. And unfortunately, we had to break the bad news to her that if she were to be convicted of domestic violence, she risked having that license taken away. And there was just no way that she could live with that. So we had to get a game plan together. So we talked to Tracy in even more detail about the evening in question and what happened in the moments before she got arrested. And she revealed that Bill had attacked her first. She just came home from a long shift. Bill was drunk. He started arguing with her for a stupid reason and then ended up physically attacking her. She was basically in fear of being hit again because he had slapped her. So she grabbed whatever she could and hit him with it. And she didn't want to hurt him, but she also just wanted Bill to stop. And so we had our investigator immediately reach out to Bill. And so Bill had admitted that he didn't give the police the whole story. He never told the police that he was the one that started the argument with Tracy once she got home. He certainly didn't tell her that he was the one that pushed her and slapped her first, and that she only hit him with that tray because he had hit her first. And, after all, he didn't want to get arrested that night. He clarified this to our investigator, and our investigator wrote a report telling what really happened. And so we built a really solid self-defense case. But we didn't just stop there. We also collected all kinds of positive information about Tracy. She had all kinds of work awards. She did a ton of volunteer work. She loved playing softball. She was an amazing mother to her teenage daughter, Riley. And we ended up collecting at least 20 letters of support, basically saying that Tracy was one of the most giving people you could ever meet. She was kind. She was a hard worker that you could rely on. The information basically really showed that she was not this violent monster that would just attack her boyfriend for no reason. So we ended up getting together a 50+ page packet to turn over to the DA that was reviewing the case. And we were explaining why Tracy should not at all be charged with the crime. We followed up with a phone call to further explain to the DA why criminal charges against Tracy simply were not warranted. But the DA was convinced by the packet alone. She ended up making the right call and declined to file charges against Tracy. Needless to say, Tracy was very relieved. She was facing jail time, she was facing a felony conviction, and she was facing losing her license. By getting started on her defense weeks before she was even due in court, we managed to get the DA to decline to file charges. And in this way, there was no longer any risk of her going to jail, getting her license being taken away, or even being subject to any discipline by the nursing board. And additionally, her job was intact. Tracy continues to give her best to all her patients, and we were just so pleased with the outcome of this case. Now, if you're a nurse and you've been arrested and facing criminal charges, you simply cannot afford to waste time. It is important to get on the phone with a solid defense attorney immediately. And if you're in the San Diego area, we can help. My name is Jamal Kersey, and I'm the principal attorney at Kersey Law, and we're a boutique criminal defense firm in San Diego, California. And you'll be able to click the link below in the description for more information on how to schedule an initial strategy session with us. If you made it this far, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please show me some love and hit the like button. If you're not already, subscribe to the channel and make sure you turn on those notifications so you never miss a new video when it drops. As always, I want to thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace.